The astute among you may have noticed that I am not in fact Sofian. I have become more handsome and a little bit fatter around the middle. He was not able to take a look at the new Honda Civic Hatch, so let me just grab the camera here and let's go for a look around the hatch, and I'll tell you what I think Sofian might or might not like about this design. The front end is certainly more elegant than the previous generation of the Civic. I really like the look, I have to say. The Civic Sedan and the Civic Hatch are very, very similar in this generation. Fortunately, Honda has provided a Civic Sedan over here to compare in silver. You'll notice that the design is very, very similar, but we have what they're claiming to be a slightly more aggressive painted section of the bumper right here, and then honeycomb accents right there in the grille rather than the slotted design. The full LED headlights are standard. The LED fog lights are optional down there below. And I have a feeling that Sofian's going to find this design a little bit too restrained. I like it, but I have to say it is not exactly the most exciting design in this segment. Of course, the big reason to get the Civic Hatch is for the hatch right back here, and stopping at this point, you'll notice that the design changes definitely versus the current generation. This looks an awful lot like an Audi Sportback from the rear, and the doors are the same as the doors that we find on the sedan. So the entire shape of the roofline over there is the shape of the roofline over here in blue. According to Honda, the doors are the same, but the windows rear of the doors change, and the entire rear end of the vehicle has become about 5 inches shorter versus the sedan, because this is going to be sold in Europe as well. Moving around to the rear, we have combination LED tail lights. These definitely have a more elegant and I think a little bit more aggressive design than in the sedan. The sedan reminds me, for some reason, of the previous generation Elantra, and these look a little bit more unique in the hatchback. We have just a single sheet of glass right there on the hatch. No double sheet of glass like you find in some hatchbacks. And then at the bottom, we have real dual exhausts that actually have exhaust gases that go out that chrome ring. Honda says that the hatch is targeted at sportier shoppers, and that's why on the sedan they're just tucked up under the bumper. The Civic Hatch gets unique 16, 17, and 18-inch wheels. These are the 18-inch wheels wrapped in 235 with tires. Based on the tire size and just the general suspension design, I wouldn't be surprised if this was the best handling hatch in this segment. One interesting twist is that this generation of the Mazda 3 does not get a fully independent rear suspension, and we do have one in the Civic Hatch. Going back to the hatch, let's open it up and see what's inside. We get just under 25 cubic feet of storage space, which is actually a little bit below the outgoing Civic Hatch. And the main reason for that, according to Honda, is that this vehicle is shorter. It's about 5 inches shorter than that Civic Sedan over there. Under the load floor, we find a temporary spare tire, which is definitely a nice touch. And compensating a little bit for the reduced dimensions of the cargo area is an opening that's about 1.5 inches wider. Under the hood, we have the same engine lineup that we find in the Civic Sedan, a base 2-liter 4-cylinder engine and an optional 1.5-liter turbo. This is the optional 1.5-liter turbo here, giving us 180 horsepower and nearly 180 pound-feet of torque. But if you get the 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, you get considerably less power, 158 horsepower and just 138 pound-feet of torque. One big difference between the hatch over here and the sedan is that the sedan is available only with continuously variable automatic transmissions. But if you want a manual, you'll be able to get them on the hatch, on both engines no less, on the 2-liter 4-cylinder engine and the 1.5-liter turbo. Honda has not said anything about fuel economy, but I would expect this is probably going to range from the same 33 to 36 miles per gallon combined that we find in the sedan, because the design is relatively similar. The majority of the interior is identical to the sedan. We have the same optional 10.25-inch instrument cluster, the same new 3-spoke steering wheel right here, paddle shifters on the back, although I think those are a little bit silly on a vehicle with a CVT, infotainment controls on the left, controls for the adaptive cruise control on the right, and then 2 knobs, which is interesting. So this knob over here controls the left side of that instrument cluster. This one controls the right side. That kind of reminds me a little bit of modern Mercedes designs. There's a 7-inch or a 9-inch touchscreen infotainment system right in the middle of the dashboard. The very distinctive honeycomb air vent strip running from one side to the other. I'm not exactly clear what Sofian thinks about that, so hopefully he'll sound out down there in the comments section. I like this look, but I think it's going to be really difficult to clean. Stuff can get between this honeycomb section and the plastic that's behind it. If I zoom in there, you can actually see it's a very 3D effect going on with that honeycomb strip. No air vents happen in the middle, however. We have one air vent on each side, one over here in the middle, and then one over there on the passenger side. Nothing's coming out the middle. It's simply there for style. The center console has become much more traditional in this generation. 2-zone climate control there, Qi wireless charging mat, USB ports. We have a pretty traditional gear shifter here, and then the funky console arrangement that we've had in the Civic is gone now in favor of a more traditional armrest and separate cup holder design. But because the bones of this hatchback are the same as the sedan and they didn't change much this part forward, headroom is a little bit more limited than you might suspect, a little bit more limited than in the new Volkswagen Golf. I can't actually put my head back here to the headrest. I would have to try and crane my head to one side in order to do that. I suspect Sofian would be fine because he's a little on the shorter side compared to me. At 6 feet tall, I don't have too much of a problem back here. I still have 2 inches of legroom left, and the front seat is a little bit more reclined than I would generally put it in. If you're comparing the Honda Civic Hatch to something like a subcompact crossover, this is definitely going to be more accommodating in the back seat. At this point, Honda has not said exactly when the Civic Hatch is going to go on sale or how much it's going to cost, but you can bet that this is going to be more expensive than the Civic Sedan behind me. That one runs from just over $21,000 to just under $29,000, plus, of course, that pesky destination charge. You can bet that the hatch is going to be more expensive, not just because of this hatch right back here, which is incidentally composite now. It's no longer a steel hatch, but also because they aren't going to sell as many hatches. Now, this hatch is now built in the United States, so that means it's built in the same factory as the Civic Sedan, and the same design team designed both vehicles. The benefit to everybody for that is that the same performance engines and performance transmissions and performance suspension systems, etc., that are going to go on the sedan or on the hatch could go on either model. In the past, we had a Civic Si sedan, but not a Civic Si hatch. We had a Type R hatch, but not a Type R sedan. And although Honda has not been horribly specific, the revised design of these vehicles being much more closer than they have been before mean it's entirely possible that we could get both of them on the same vehicle. Although again, Honda has not said anything specific, so be sure and stay tuned for more information on that. And of course, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so you can check out all of Redline's latest videos. And of course, you'll occasionally see Sofian on my channel as well. If you want to see him over there impersonating me, you can head over to alexonautos.com or youtube.com/alexonautos. I'll see all of you at some point in the future. Bye.